my favorite first day activity would be a game called the name game, where you have your students stand in a circle and they all think of something that they like that starts with the sound that their name begins with. For instance, my name is Cortnie and I like coffee. And so this can also be done where people have to try to remember the person or persons before them, what their name is and what they liked. And so it's kind of a chain name game as well. And so you can use this for likes and dislikes. You can change it for beginners where they don't even have to do an alliteration. They can just say something that they like. It could be food, it could be animals, it could be anything. So it's pretty adaptable for any classroom. But that is my very favorite first day activity.
All right, Cortnie brings up an interesting point, and she gives us a few examples of how we can actually modify some of our icebreaker activities. Using her example, the name game, in its most basic form, you can simply have your students say their name and something they like. It could be anything that they like in the whole world. This would be great for beginners because it gives them more options if they have a limited vocabulary. And it could be great even for advanced students because it just lets them run wild with all the vocabulary that they know. They can share anything that they like. But then you can add a little bit of complexity to this by doing something called alliteration. Two words are alliterative when they start with the same sound, such as Cortnie and kangaroo. Doesn't matter in this case whether they start with the same letter, C for Cortnie or K for kangaroo. It just matters that they start with the same sound, Cortnie and kangaroo. Those two words form an alliteration. Alliterations are great because they make words sticky. They stick together and they'll make them easier to remember. So imagine you're here at one of our classrooms in the United States and there are students from all around the world, all different cultures, and they all have different sounding names. And you as a teacher and your students, you may have trouble remembering all of these interesting and different sorts of names, many of which you may have never heard before. So how can you remember all of them? Well, a simple thing you can do is add alliteration. Have each student say their name with a simple object that starts with the same sound, such as coffee. Or in my case, my name's Andy, and so I came out here to my garden, stand underneath my apple tree, and I can introduce myself as Apple Tree Andy. Not only pairing my name with a similar sounding word, but also pairing it with a funny action. This is actually a stunt apple. I've done several takes today with this apple. The point is, there are certain ways that we can modify our activities that will give our students different kinds of benefits, or that will make that activity suit a certain set of learners, maybe in a better sort of way. And one of the ways we can do that is using alliteration. So that was one of the modifications that Cortnie mentioned. The other modification you can be thinking about is, do I have my students share just their name?
My name is Beatum and I like chocolate.
Or do I have them share maybe the name of the person that went before them? Or do I have them share all of their classmates' names, which is a feature that you'll see in a style of activity that we would call chain drill.
And so this can also be done where people have to try to remember the person or persons before them, what their name is and what they liked. And so it's kind of a chain name game as well.
Now what Cortnie's referring to here is actually a great idea. It's something that's often referred to as a chain drill, where you create a long chain of information that you slowly build upon using repetition. And often people's first impression is that it seems impossible, but it's actually a lot easier than you think. I'll try not to talk while I make this sound next time. So if I'm at the front of the classroom and I'm the teacher, I can have my students get into a circle. Now, if you don't have any chairs or you're doing this outside, you can have them stand up. If you're comfortable and you're on the inside, you got lots of chairs, you have a big class and this activity is going to take a while, then by all means, relax, sit down and have some fun. But I have my students get into a circle and I write on the board whatever language that I want them to use in this conversation. Now there are a few phrases we can use for an activity like this that just about any learner can do, including a really low-level beginner, such as what do I like or not like, what do I have or not have. So for this example, we're going to use our names, since these are icebreaker activities and we're already wanting to learn each other's names. I'm going to write a sentence on the board that I want them to follow. And then as the teacher, Cortnie, she's going to tell the whole group, my name is Cortnie and I like coffee. However, the next student in the circle is not just going to share what their name is and what they like, they're also going to share about the person before them and what they said. So the next student is going to say her name, Cortnie, her name is Cortnie and she likes coffee. If this was me, I would say, my name is Andy and I like pizza. Or you can also do this using an alliteration where the word that I choose for what I like actually has to match the sound of my name. This is a more advanced way of doing this. It's great for advanced learners, but you don't have to do that. It could just be anything. It could just be any type of food. So her name's Cortnie, she likes coffee, my name's Andy, and I like pizza. Now the next student has to say what Cortnie likes, what I like, before then sharing what they like. And so on it goes around the circle, and the final person has to share all of what the students have said, what their names are and what they like, before they then share their name and what they like. And it sounds like it could be very difficult, but it actually is pretty easy because there's so much repetition. And that's the thing about language learning that you're going to find, is that a lot of times as teachers we try to avoid repetition. We're afraid we're going to bore our students. But actually repetition is a key to learning anything, and you want to use it. You don't want to avoid it. So this is the kind of activity, this change rule activity that Cortnie's talking about, that actually brings in a ton of repetition into this one little activity. Allows you to learn people's names and what they like, and you get to hear lots of times. Now I have a quick story that actually illustrates some of the benefits of doing such a simple and repetitious activity. A few years ago we were in Thailand. We were in a little village out in the jungle with a children's home, and every night we would teach a group of children some basic English. And for the first night we did this name game as an icebreaker. Now these were beginner students. They did not speak a lot of English yet, but they did know the names of lots of types of foods. We spent a lot of time discussing fruits. They knew all kinds of fruits in English, from pineapples to bananas to passion fruits, so they could all say their names and they could all say whichever kind of fruit they liked. And they knew the names of other types of food in English as well, such as pizza and ice cream, and they loved all those things and they could share that with us as well. Now, as we sat in this circle, the repetition allowed us to hear their strange but beautiful names repeated multiple times, and they got to hear our names repeated multiple times. And many of us made mistakes in our pronunciation, but it was okay because we got to learn each other's names, we got to laugh together, and we all walked away knowing something about each other. And that's what we want from our icebreaker activities. It's not just to have fun and to feel safe, but we want to learn something about each other.
My name is William and I'm little. I am little William.
Say bye.
Bye. See you soon.
And this TESOL lesson's delicious. This is some delicious TESOL teaching, if I say so myself. This TESOL lesson's delicious.